Welcome back, everybody. This is Stoner and Lush, and today we're doing Doctor Sleep.
Oh, hi there. Yes, Doctor Sleep. I'm really excited about this one because I love The Shining, and this is the sequel to The Shining. So good. I've read the books, and I have to say I like the movies better than the books. So I'm just so
And
I'm just saying.
everyone has there's always a 50-50 draw of like who likes the book more
Right.
or who likes the movie more. There's never there's not many in-betweeners, I don't think. But you know
Yeah,
what? I've never read the books, so here we go.
a lot of similarities and differences between both the books and the movies here, but we're gonna talk about Doctor Sleep. Doctor Sleep, 2019. Written by Mike Flanagan and Stephen King, directed by Mike Flanagan. Cast includes Ewan McGregor, Rebecca Ferguson, Kylie Curran, Cliff Curtis, and Zahn McClarnon. We just kind of go back to the whole Shining with Danny Torrance being an adult now. And you see how he struggles through his addiction and comes across some other shiners that he didn't realize. And
Yeah.
then they come across this horrible, horrible group called the True Knot. They've been around for a few centuries and they like to steal shiners and kill them for their shine, which comes out as steam. But that's how they get more powerful.
Which I love, by the way. The
Yes.
steam being like their life force being like a dust or like a steam that comes out that they just breathe in.
Right.
Thought that was fantastic.
Yeah. I
And
really liked the way that it was done and it didn't look too fake, which was good.
yeah, that's true.
I love the opening credits. I love the reenactments. I thought those were done very well. The lady that was taking over for Wendy, I thought she did an amazing job. The little boy is Danny. Even seeing Mrs. Massey, the lady in the bathtub, all of that makeup, and I have to say, she was a lot scarier in this movie than she was in The Shining. I mean,
Yeah.
it was a completely different like focus on that character, and it was a lot.
So to finish off the summary, we see Danny Torrance grown up, going through. Once he gets past the addiction, starts to shine again. Comes across this little girl who shines as well. Her shine is much brighter. Not. They target her because they want the whale that will feed them for many, many years, opposed to just one time. Like the imagery in this movie is just so amazing. Like when they astroplane out and they're flying above like the city, just the way that shot is so neat. And like when she's watching where they went and you see like that upward version of like a map, but you see like the moving parts, it's
Right.
visually stunning. And I think they did a really, really good job with that.
Now, in the book, I personally felt that Rose the Hat's death was ridiculous. I mean, even though they did have the spirit of Jack coming back to help them, like kill Rose and the rest of the True Knot, but I just felt like when she was inside the hotel and she was consumed by all of those ghosts, like I thought that was way better than her just being pushed off, the top of it or whatever it was.
Oh, the book she was just like kind of pushed off.
Yeah, I mean, it really wasn't. It was very anticlimactic for me, and that's
Right.
rare for a Stephen King book. But I
Right.
felt like a lame way out. I thought the way that they did it in the film was so much better.
Okay, fair.
So yeah, I felt like it was met. But see, at the end of the book, Danny goes and visits Abra on her 15th birthday. They stay in touch because
Oh,
what you don't see in the movie that is very well written in the book is Abra's, I think it was her great grandmother, had an affair with Jack years ago. So
oh,
related to Danny. That's why in the movie she goes, "Well, you're my Uncle Dan." I mean, it's kind of true, but that's how
So
she.
that's a throwback to the book, because in the book they're actually related.
Right, right. And then
Yeah.
her mom was the I think the conception of Jack and whatever. But then I thought, like, okay, so if they had a kid or whatever, that means that there's another one out there.
Yeah, true.
But anyway, they're actually really related. Was my point. Was the fact is that something that they kind of glazed over in the movies, that they actually are related, but you would get
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, they didn't really touch that on the movie at all.
Well, there
I
is that
think
one
it's a
part.
really cool concept, and
There,
I kind of wish they did add that in the movie, because that would have been a little more interesting, you know?
I think so too. There is that one part in the movie where Abra's mom comes to her and says, "Okay, I have to go visit Aunt Kiki or whatever." I don't think it was Constance. I can't remember if they said her name or not.
Can't remember her
But
name. Yeah.
but she's like, is she gonna make it this time, Abra? And she goes, I don't know. And but right before the mom leaves, that's where she went to go visit the sick relative that was dying of cancer,
Yeah.
and how they kind of like kill Rose the Hat, and then the True Knot is like they give like the cancerous like steam from her, and they like push it onto the True Knot, and they give it to them, and it evaporates most of them. But I just thought it was still kind of meh. I like the other ending better. I made this my first fact because I personally thought of you instantly when I read this. So in the book, Danny waves goodbye to his father at the end, and it's his ghost, but he's still like, thanks, Dad, for helping or whatever. That's a nod to Star Wars, because at the end so you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Again. But that's supposed to be a nod to Star Wars. So like at the end, they're like waving to each other, and it's supposed to be like that. But I thought that would have been cool in the movie.
Yeah, yeah.
And Ewan McGregor, he does play what's his name, Obi-Wan. So I thought that was kind of funny.
That's true too, right? Yeah. That's probably why they did it, you know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in the book, yeah. I mean, he doesn't play him in the book, but I thought that was just kind of
Oh,
funny.
right. Yeah, no, they didn't do that in the movie. That's in the book. Jeez, yeah. I mean, yeah, right.
So Rebecca Ferguson had trouble with the scene where they're killing Baseball Boy, and I mean, even watching it, it's very disturbing, and there was a lot more of that footage of him being, I guess, killed off and like tortured and things like that. But Rebecca had trouble doing that scene. She actually had to walk away. I think she might have started crying, or she got like hives, or she was just like, I can't do it, fully. She was just, a lot of the actors were like, yeah, this is like really not making us feel comfortable and everything. But
Yeah.
they did it anyway. I mean, it still works,
I
but I
mean,
can definitely do that.
and I mean, like it's funny that they got so distraught over it, because the boy actor who played the baseball boy, um, he was fine with it.
Yeah,
He
they are.
he he did the scene well, and but it was, I think, his like the screams I know were acting, but I think to them they sounded so authentic that that's what freaked them out the most. I think that's why that scene was really hard for them to do. But I mean, the scene ended up great, and it is hard to watch. So if you know, and I'm kind of glad they cut out scenes
Yeah, I wouldn't
of
want
it.
to see it.
Like that if they were showing more of the gruesome part of it, I don't know if I could have watched that scene.
Yeah, I couldn't. I,
You know?
I I don't like watching that scene as it is. I kind of have anxiety when it comes up, and I'm just like, oh man, the scene's coming. Like I just kind of like go to the bathroom or walk out of there. Like I just try not to
Yeah.
look. Mike Flanagan, he rebuilt all of the sets that you see in this film. There is a lot of digital work in this film, and to my surprise, the one scene where they have the elevator and the blood's like cascading down, and it's like, right, that was digital, because Mike had said in an interview that if they would have tried to get it the same exact way, the way it fell would never fall the way it did in the original. So they digitally did, and I didn't even notice the difference, to be honest. I thought that was pretty cool. In the book, Snakebite Andy is a little bit older, and she actually has a lesbian affair with Rose the Hat.
You're the most beautiful woman I've ever seen.
She's still with Crow Daddy, but she fools around with Snakebite Andy. I thought that was like really, I was like, oh, they left that part out.
I guess it doesn't really add to the story that much, so I can understand why they would like omit that,
Yeah. The original actor who played Danny Torrance in The Shining he makes a little cameo. When they're at the baseball game talking about Baseball Boy, they say this kid never misses. It's like you read the pitcher's mind. And then Crow Daddy is sitting on the bleachers next to them listening to everything, and that's how they figure out which one to get. But he's actually in there. And I thought that was really cool that he did that.
And another little fun fact is he hasn't really done acting since.
Right. Dan Stevens, Chris Evans, Matt Smith, and Jeremy Renner were all in consideration for the older Danny. And honestly, I mean, some of them are pretty good, but I think Ewan was a good choice.
Ewan was a great choice. I could see Jeremy Renner doing it.
Yes.
But I think they did go a really good choice with Ewan.
Okay. Yeah, I think they made the good choice, the right choice. The bench where Dan and Abra sit after she travels to find Dan, when they're sitting on the bench, that's supposed to be mirroring him and Dick Halloran when they talk on the bench in the beginning of the movie. It's kind of like how the relationship went from there, and then you have another similar relationship, but Danny is now the adult in this situation.
Well, I mean, and part of that is, because what he said to him, he said, one day you're going to have to teach someone. Yes, like at the beginning of the movie, it's basically foreshadowing what's going to happen to Danny later on, and that he's going to do basically the same thing. And then, of course, at the end of the movie, you see him as a ghost by the window talking to her the same way he did with him.
Yep.
For X amount of time. Now, we already know eventually Danny will disappear because so did he. It was an uplifting ending, even though the demise that we saw of Ewan's character, Danny, it sucks that we got to see him kind of blow up, basically. But to see him again right after that, and it's like he's obviously at peace because he's very, smiling and stuff with her, and so he's basically telling her it's okay. And you know what? I told you to hide this before, and I hid it my whole life, and look what happened. No, you can do better. And she's stronger with it, so he's, basically like Obi-Wan Kenobi trying to give her advice to Luke Skywalker.
Exactly. That's probably why I like this movie so much.
The forces of evil, I swear. No.
Yeah, it's very Star Warsy.
A little bit when you think about it like that.
Yeah, Jedi powers and the Jedi mind tricks. It's like the same thing with the Shiners.
Right, yeah.
Over 800 girls auditioned for Abra. 800.
What?
Over 800 girls. Could you believe that? That's a lot of... I don't know how they did it.
I'm just waiting to hear back a call and be like, I know 799 other people auditioned for this. I don't know if I'll get the call. And then you get the call and you're like, I got the call.
Yeah. When Abra is looking at the missing poster for the boy, the date he went missing is September 21st. That's Stephen King's birthday.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. A little Easter egg thrown in there.
a little small
one. So what I did instead of doing research, I wrote down every reference to The Shining or throwback or some connection to The Shining at any given point. Start off, obviously, the opening music, that very first few tones. And then when Dan gets the job at the hospital, it's very similar to when Jack was getting the job at the hotel. The way it was shot, the way he's sitting at the desk, the whole room looked almost exactly the same.
It's the same.
Yeah. When Abra feels the baseball kid, she does the OG Danny face where he shakes his head. Yeah, that's, you know.
Yeah.
And of course, red rum on the chalkboard when he's looking in the mirror. You know, obviously a big shout out to the OG. The drive to the Overlook, just different time frame. This was in the winter again still, but it wasn't like a massive snowstorm like we saw them leave in.
Right.
But they tried to recreate some of that drive where he goes underneath the little like, I don't know, cliff part, you know what I mean?
Right.
So they also have the exact same typewriter, the model of the typewriter for that scene.
Right.
Found the exact same one. And the all work, no play pages were still, they typed them all out again, and they were all sitting right next to the typewriter. As if when that happened, they just shut the place down and never moved a thing. And the boiler room was built basically the exact same as the boiler room you see Shelley Duvall's character actually taken care of when it was supposed to be Jack's responsibility, but because he was going crazy and writing a book, he didn't do it. And of course, the here's Johnny door scene, you know, where he goes to the door and he's, at first I thought, wait a minute, he just opened the door and it had that same hole in it. That's just the living room and bedroom and stuff. I'm like, thought it was in the bathroom. And then he walks to the bathroom, the same hole in there. So Jack broke the door down the same way, both doors, clearly.
Mm-hmm.
And then he stares at the window that they crawled out of and slid down the snow.
Yeah.
And then, of course, when he's sitting when he walks up and moves the chair and sits down at the bar, and of course, Lloyd serves him a drink.
Right.
And it's actually Jack, but it's Lloyd, but it's Jack, and it's that whole kind of scene. I love that scene. And I think he did a fairly decent job at Jack. I feel like his voice wasn't quite there, but the look was there and the demeanor was there and the script was there. So,
right.
Of course, the blood elevator that you mentioned. And then, of course, when he sees the axe in the fire little case, you know, and then obviously he takes the axe and he's standing on the stairs with it like Shelley was standing with a baseball bat, but instead this time it's an axe. I thought that was kind of a cool throwback. And then the whole stair scene after that, where she's coming up menacingly slow, kind of like Jack did, and they're backing up. But then when he gets thrown down the stairs, it's like when Jack gets hit with the baseball bat and falls down the stairs, but this time it's like a massive throw, like, you know, like way more intense.
Yeah. You got knocked the fuck out.
All, I think, massive throwbacks to the OG. And then there's footprints in the snow when they're in the maze.
Mm-hmm.
Just like, you know, Jack trying to find Danny. And then, of course, the hello, Danny line. The line that said, hello, Danny. And, of course, when he was running with the limp, with the axe in his hand. Obviously a massive callback. We see this scene twice in the movie, too. When the guy's like, great party. But those are all the references I got or throwbacks to the OG, which I thought was a lot, but sprinkled in very nicely.
Shooty scores.
For this movie, I really, really liked it, but I felt that there was a lot of slow parts for me. So I'm going to give it a little bit lower, but I'm still going to give it a 4.4 because I still feel that it was really good. I mean, it had so many elements to it. There's just so many layers, and there's so many layers to The Shining as well. So it just kind of fits together. So 4.4.
I'm going to give it a very similar score. It's going to be a 4.5 for me. And it could have been a bit higher because I was really hoping when Rose was in the maze that we would see some of the maze grass creatures come out and attack
Right.
her.
Right.
I was really hoping for that because I know they didn't show it in The Shining, but it's in the book, and it could be kind of implicated that those are the monsters and ghosts that they're talking about from the hotel anyway. So even though we didn't see it in The Shining, doesn't mean they weren't there. It would have been really cool to see that. Plus, I was also hoping her to like stumble across a frozen Jack.
There's so many people that
While
say
she was searching for Danny, that the
skills.
footprint leaded, and there was Jack, and then Jack turned on her and attacked her. Well, that was actually, someone, Danny or whatever, projecting that against her. I was hoping for something like that, but I was still happy with the ending, but I really wish we got to see a little bit of something of that. But
Right.
hey, I guess you can't throw in every Easter egg, or win it all. But overall, fantastic movie. I think it's a great sequel.
I think the casting was really good, and I feel like Rose the Hat is a very, very powerful villain, and she's one of my favorites because she's so ruthless, and she's in it for one thing and one thing only, and I find that to be so cool.
I wish we got to see how old she actually was, though, because she did talk about the older guy and how he had seen empires grow and fall and pharaohs and stuff. So we obviously know he's thousands of years old. She's the leader, so that means she's probably older than them. I would love to see a movie that's showing her backstory of when she started and seeing her progression up to this point. It would be really neat to see her jumping through the ages and see how old she actually is, because she did say something, a line of some kind of saying something like, well, when I learned this, blah blah blah, or something. I think she said something, I can't remember exactly what it was, but I would love to see that. That would be fantastic. Guys, I hope you stuck around to the end of the episode. Hope you enjoyed everything you heard, and always please hit that notification bell, hit the like, hit the subscribe, and until next time, guys.
Bye.
Bye.